Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hayawam tawab la atam za akyakam yawam man chagador Charlotte, which is good day. This is your brother Yawam from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kaya hamalakwath hashamayim kwara, repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call halayim la la abanawa Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham rocha hakwadash. Wamashana la za kwanyam na malakim shor rocha gadol, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai delivers, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. So this is an article on the Herald. It's a newspaper website, and it says Rock Hill unveils plans to crack down on homeless people living in hotels. Here's why. And essentially, what Esau is doing, he's essentially making it to where he's making a squeeze tighter, you see, but then also he's making it damn near illegal to be homeless. You see, because like if you look at the parks, if like the different if it was like a maybe a somewhere where they put plants and then have like kind of like stone masonry around it, he'll put like little areas to where no one can lay down right there, or on the park benches he'll put little things up there so that they can't lay down. He also made it in different areas of the country to where it's illegal, to sleep in a parking lot or sleep up against a building. Again, he's just making it illegal to be homeless. All right. But continuing on, it says new rules to prevent people without homes from living in Rock Hill hotels. Because that's super prevalent, in different areas, you see. But it says, and also to mention, in North Carolina, 18%, which Rock Hill is right outside of Charlotte, but it says, it pretty much stated that 18%, homelessness increased by 18% in 2024. I believe it was across the nation, or it might have been across the North Carolina, but nevertheless, homelessness increased, all right, in the country, all right, and it was, I believe it was roughly like almost 1 million people that was homeless, and we're starting to see, the tent cities pop back up, But continuing on, it says new rules to prevent people without homes from living in Rock Hill hotels could impact where any guests can stay, how long they are there for, and even how future hotels in the city are built. It says city management offer up zoning code changes that Rock Hill Planning Commission will review Tuesday night. The commission will make a recommendation to Rock Hill City Council, which will make a final decision. Council agendas haven't been posted for this year, but that group meets January 13th. The proposed changes mostly relate to hotels, but also would impact camping and self-storage sites in the city, because you can't stay in a self-storage site, or that with the camping, it's a certain amount of money they charge for people to camp on those grounds, but they will probably make it to where you got to have some type of camper, But it says new rules are intended to cut down on calls for police service, medical calls for drug overdoses, panhandling, and loitering caused by people living in hotels, according to the city. You see, so essentially what Esau is doing, all right, he's making it to where he has to keep track of everybody, all right, to where, you either have to have some type of residence, you see, or have to have some type of job, to be plugged into his system, because this is going to correspond with his with his MOTB system. Everything is essentially going digital. If you don't have some type of numbers or black and white, if you don't have any type of mail, if you don't have any type of maybe like I said, a job, all right, essentially he's making it to where he's outcasting those people from society. All right. Continuing on, it says there have been instances of someone living long-term in a storage facility in a campsite, according to the city, which is why those rules could change. It says Rock Hill hotel regulations, city rules already prohibit people from living in hotels. People can't stay in any hotel or a combination of hotels for more than 30 straight days. So basically in the city, you can't they got some type of, it sounds like they got some type of system to where if you go from this hotel, you can't go to this hotel, you can't go to this hotel. So they're keeping some type of digital database. All right. So it says there are exceptions for people relocating to an area for employment, you see, so you got to be having some type of job. Short-term workers, homeowners undertaking a large remodeling project, and people who suffered total or significant damages to their homes on-site living space for a hotel owner or manager is allowed too. I'm going to get this real fast. This is Yashaya, Isaiah, chapter 36 and verse 6, because I mentioned the point of the MOTB, you see, because all of this is just essentially going to bottleneck and into the MOTB. So it says, "Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him." You see, so it's going to be the masses are going to essentially trust in the staff of this broken reed. When it says Egypt, it's talking about oppression, slavery, essentially going into America, Babylon the Great. And it says, "Whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him." So those that trust in Pharaoh, those that trust in his system, essentially it's going to bottleneck right to that MOTB. You see, I'm going to get this too. This is Yashaya, Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 20. And it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Yasha'Allah and such as are escaped from the house of Ya'aquab shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Yasha'Allah in truth." You see, because it's going to be so a certain point in time to where, the believers are going to be outcast. The elect is going to be outcast. And essentially we're going to stay on the Lord, you see, because Esau is going to make the squeeze so tight, all right, to where, it's going to be unlivable in his society, So continuing on, it says, "Guests have to show evidence that they have residence apart from the hotel to get exceptions, and then can stay up to 6 months. The city can opt to allow longer stays. New rules would cap hotel stays for any guest at 30 nights per year in any city hotel. Prohibit renting rooms with exterior doors to residents of York County or surrounding counties. Rooms with exterior doors or access facing outside create more service calls and other impacts. New rules look to avoid according to the city." So pretty much, Jake, like if it was a room with, outside, they're more likely to be socially. Pretty much, Jake is more likely to be. Jake, and then you got some poor Edomites that essentially will be more socially inclined or be more into the social environment because they are aware of those that are in that particular area, pretty much hanging out and stuff like that, But it says rooms with exterior doors or access facing outside create more service calls, you see, going into the drugs, like parties, somebody might be drinking or something like that. And it says other impacts the new rules look to avoid according to the city. Allow room inspection upon request by the city to ensure compliance. Require additional information on guests that is available to the city for ensuring compliance, you see. And again, this is just setting up the groundwork in different sectors, you see, because Esau, he's setting it up for in different sectors. All right, and just to elaborate on that, all right, he made it possible to where you can ride the bus, with your what you call it, the Apple Watch. You got Apple Pay on your Apple Watch, or you got Apple Pay on your Apple phone, Google Pay. You see, all of these are essentially tap to pay, which is going to lead forth to that charagma, you see. But then it says require additional information on guests that is available to the city for ensuring compliance. Real ID, all right, in order for, people to drive. All right, the additional information, all right, is going to be more extensive. All right, everything is going to be more extensive, all right, because he wants to know everything. All right, and that's essentially what this MOTB system, this NWO, is going to entail of. You see, so continuing on, it says, "Make hotels display information on addiction, housing, and human trafficking in public areas. A one-time exception would allow someone without a home to stay in hotels up to 90 years and 90 nights in a year, provided that person is accepted into a city program that helps them get permanent housing, in which the city program, that's going to come with certain stipulations as well. It says violations on the new rules would be penalized through the city zoning ordinance. Multiple violations could mean condemnation or demolition of a hotel by the city with costs assessed as a lien on the property, you see. So that's pretty much what he's doing. So if the hotel was allowed to allow people to essentially stay in there past the date, he's making it to where they essentially have to police themselves. They got to enforce that. He don't have to go down and enforce it. Kind of like what he did with the whole social distancing and the, this many feet apart. He made it. He put it on the people to do that. You see, and this is going to create more civil unrest. All right, I'm gonna get that too. This is Yeshaya Isaiah chapter 19, and we'll get verse 2. And it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom." Hey, it's essentially going to be civil unrest, and wars, all right, or excuse me, infighting, all right, amongst these Babylonians, the so-called citizens of America, Babylon the Great. But it says new and remodeled Rock Hill hotels. The rules also would mandate that any new hotels built in the city have rooms facing interior hallways or common areas, because that's more control, and they essentially can look through the cameras. It says new hotels would be required to have security cameras installed around the property, and owners would have to meet the city with city police on designs aimed at crime prevention. Big brother, It says parking space would be required for recreational vehicles, buses, and tractor trailers to prevent guests from parking them on the street. New rules would encourage hotel owners to allow city police jurisdiction over parking lots. Posting police jurisdiction signs informs people that police can treat private property parking lots more like public spaces. You see, so that's giving them more jurisdiction. So they essentially, the private property, they can just come up there and detain who they want to. So it says this city would create redevelopment incentives that would be available for, or the city would create redevelopment incentives that would be available for existing hotels that use exterior room access or have multiple people using the homeless exception for longer stays. Some incentives will allow for larger signs or signs closer together than a hotel typically would be allowed. So pretty much, again, just allowing for increased cooperation, all right, and Esau's world and Esau society. So it says the city also would add a rule stating, because again, you remember they're trying to do those 15-minute cities, and this is just a step towards that for Esau. So it says the city also would add a rule stating people can't live in self-storage units. One residence would be allowed as part of a self-storage business for its operator. It's similar for campsites where one full-time campground employee could live there. For anyone else, the maximum stay is 14 nights out of any 60-day period. The city doesn't have any campgrounds. Ebenezer Park, for instance, is in the Rock Hill area, but it's run by York County. The new rules allow camping on a home or farm site in the city at up to 2 nights per month. Someone living at the home or farm has to be a camper according to the proposed rule. You see, so again, it's just going into that NWO, and you see, and this essentially corresponded with how things was in Rome. All right, I'm gonna get a couple excerpts out of this right here, though. It says inflation. It says the Roman economy suffered from, because this is just Rome 2.0. All right, it says the Roman economy suffered from inflation and increase in prices. All right, that's a major cause, of homelessness today, and then also the lack of jobs, But it says beginning after the reign of Marcus Aurelius, once the Romans stopped conquering new lands, the flow of gold and the Roman economy decreased. Yet much gold was spent by the Romans to pay for luxury items, and that's what's going on now. They pretty much promote, all right, a lavish type of lifestyle in America, Babylon the Great. You see, and it's all being funded by credit. It says this meant that there was less gold to use in coins. As the amount of gold used in coins decreased, the coins became less valuable. To make for loss in value, merchants raised the prices of the goods they sold. Many people stopped using coins and began to barter to get what they needed. Eventually, salaries had to be paid in food and clothing, and taxes were collected on fruits and vegetables. All right, and it says urban decay. It says wealthy Romans lived in a domus, or a house with marble walls, floors with intricate colored tiles, and windows made of small panes of glass. Most Romans, however, were not rich. They lived in small, smelly rooms in apartment houses with 6 or more stories called islands. Each island covered an entire block. At one time, there were 44,000 apartment houses within the city walls of Rome. First floor apartments were not occupied by the poor since these living quarters were rented. The more shaky wooden stairs a family had to climb, the cheaper the rent became. The upper apartments that the poor rented for $40 a year were hot, dirty, crowded, and dangerous. Anyone could not pay the who could not pay the rent was forced to move out and live on the crime-infested streets. Because of this, cities began to decay, and that's what's happening. All right, crime is increasing. All right, and in doing so, or in this process, Esau has made it easier to obtain firearms. All right, so it's just that's bringing forth sedition amongst men and invading one another. You know, we'll get that as well, Lord's willing. But then also, that's what happened in Rome. That's what was happening in Rome. You know, as Rome started to decline, you see, it was urban decay. All right, people could no longer afford, to live how they once did. And again, this is Rome 2.0. So let's get a couple precepts and then we'll go ahead and close it out. But this is Quahalat Ecclesiastes chapter 1. We'll get verse 9, and it says, "The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." You see, so essentially, again, this is Rome 2.0. The same way Rome went out, America Babylon the Great is going out. All right, essentially from overspreading their military. All right, the urban decay. The decline in the morality. All right, that's what we're seeing. All right, we just got the examples of, the homelessness, on the rise, and then also them creating, which that stands for today, you see, but them creating newer rules are essentially to correspond with their NWO, you see. But let's get one more. All right, this is Second Esdras, Second Isaiah, chapter 16, and so like it might be 15. This is Second Esdras, chapter 15, and we'll get verse 15. It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." You see, so the modern day sword, is the gun. Gun sales have went up over the last 2 or 3 years or so. You see, because again, Esau is making it easier to obtain firearms, and these people are already about to lose it. They're not mentally stable to go and own instruments of war, so to speak. So essentially, their mindset. They're essentially carrying out, how they feel. All right, everybody's already doped up on drugs. All right, everybody has mental illnesses in America, Babylon the Great. All right, so it's going to push forth to them, it's going to push forth to an increase in crime, But it says, "For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, sedition it goes into violent uprisings against those that are in power, you see, and that's essentially what's going on. It's been various different accounts of CEOs and public officials, essentially being either they were deleted, or whether it was they essentially was in some type of situation to where they was like their safety was in jeopardy. That has been a increase in that, in these last days. But it says, "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." They don't care about their word. They don't care about the laws and legislations that are set up. It says, "In the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And that's essentially what we're seeing. All right, we're seeing that in ancient Rome, and we're seeing that in Rome 2.0. So it says, I'm running back. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And just again to reiterate, that's what we're seeing today. Crime is increasing. All right, it's increasing all across America, Babylon the Great. All right, so I just want to go into that. Adonai Tazaza by Naib Palu, what that was a beautiful edification through the Spirit. Wa Adonai Tazah Atam Yash Yawam Tawab, Lord's will. You all have a good day. Watch Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.